Whakalofalahiyatu and good evening. This is BCN's final news bulletin for 2013. And in our news, we would like to make a correction to a story from our Tuesday night bulletin that the Queen's Baton Relay team are actually leaving the island tomorrow and not on Tuesday, as was broadcasted on Tuesday evening. In our news, the appointment of a New Zealand-based photographer on the Niue Tourism Authority board has caused a stir among some within the industry. The matter was raised in the Assembly a week ago with a motion that was put forward by Common Role member Stanley Kaloni for someone locally based to be appointed into the position. The current tourism board appointed by Cabinet is made up of 6 members that consist of the Director of Tourism, that is Vanessa Marsh, as an ex officio without voting rights, a representative from Treasury, Doreen Siatanga, and representatives from the tourism sector, Teresa Scott, Sonia Talangi, Waimanu Pulu, and Charles Cooper. Sources say that Mr. Cooper has been involved in the industry over a number of years, previously as an overseas-based photographer for Niue Tourism, a sales and marketing manager, and more recently as an advisor to government for the Air New Zealand flight negotiations. But Premier Toke Talangi says that this is not the first time an expatriate has been appointed onto an authority board, and that government makes appointments based on the expertise and ability of individuals to contribute to developments. But Member of Parliament Stanley Kaloni stated that the position on the board should be given to someone local and directly involved in Niue's tourism industry. He said there are local people operating tourism-related jobs and businesses in Niue. All of them were not even considered, and there are even Kiwis or expats living in Niue running businesses that are tourism-related. They should be appointed, but not someone who actually lives outside of Niue. The board is also required to meet several times throughout the year. That poses a question who will be paying for Mr. Cooper to travel to the island for those meetings, if and when required. Member of Parliament Kaloni had a majority vote in the House in support of his motion, with 8 votes for the motion and only 3 against the motion. But the final decision on the issue rests with Cabinet. The government has managed to strike a deal and sign an agreement with Air New Zealand to recommence the second flight starting in May next year until November. This year, the inaugural rollout of the second flight proved successful, with an increase in visitor numbers. For the trial period, flights arrived on Tuesdays, fortnightly and weekly on Fridays. Premier Talangi announced that the second flight would be an integral part of tourism and island developments, with the continuous airline services with Air New Zealand. With the expected increase in visitor numbers and airline capacity, the aim now is to continue working with the private sector, especially accommodation providers, to increase bed numbers. The Niue government has agreed to top up funds to assist the Philippines following the disaster typhoon Haiyan. This decision was made by Cabinet last week, but an actual amount has yet to be determined. Last month, the local Filipino community took the lead in raising funds with a concert that raised over $6,000, and collection cans at business establishments were also set up. In addition to that, a radiothon on Radio Sunshine generated just over $3,000. These funds have already been sent to selected organizations in the Philippines. As for the government's contribution based on previous procedures and disaster responses, these are usually sent via government-to-government assistance, but Cabinet will discuss this probability further. Trials for lawn bowls has now been deferred until next year. The first round of trials were meant to be held last week following the opening of the green, but that was postponed again to this week. Since the lawn bowls green was officially opened 2 weeks ago, there has been a keen following of enthusiasts taking up the sport. At the Sports Expo last Saturday, it was apparent that players of all ages were keen to give it a go. But Niue Island Sports Commonwealth Games Association President Des Hipper says that the trials have been deferred due to a busy schedule on the island, but another set of trials will be held at the end of February. Lawn bowls representatives from New Zealand made a special trip for the opening of the green and to hold trials. Part of this group are due to leave the island tomorrow, somewhat disappointed. But we spoke with one of the lawn bowls athletes, Hina Elizabeth Redeiti, who has won medals for Niue in the sport. She said the delay in holding the trials adds an element of surprise and gives people more time to prepare for the trials next year. As a New Zealand squad rep with 43 championships games, a gold, medal, silver and bronze medal to her name, she would like to provide her expertise to help the development of the sport on the island, as she is also an accredited coach. According to President of Niskaga, Des Hepa, at this point there is no guarantee in terms of players or athletes, but the trials at the end of February will determine who will represent Niue at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, Scotland next year. Government has approved $20,000 to be given to Niue's Kilikiki Federation Palanuku tour team to New Zealand. The Kilikiki team has been preparing and fundraising throughout the year, but these funds will assist with accommodation, transport and uniforms for the team. Niue Kilikiki Federation President Charlie Tovaka says that they are very grateful for this contribution towards the team. Mr. Tovaka says this would probably be the first national Kilikiki team to tour, and one of the main reasons behind this tour is to strengthen ties between Niueans living on the island and those in New Zealand, as well as trying to maintain Kilikiki as an important part of our culture. The Federation is looking to have a challenge every 2 years. In 2011, a team from the Niuean community in New Zealand came to Niue for a challenge, and this time round it's Niue's turn to go. The touring team will be made up of about 60 players, including supporters. They will be playing 5 games that will see them face 2 test games, 1 game, which is the President's game, against a combined team in Auckland, as well as 2 games versus 2 village teams. The majority of the team are set to depart next week, Friday, for a 3-week tournament. And this week, a group of young people have taken up the challenge to spruce up the commercial centre, giving it a more Christmas feel, a good way to head into the festive season. The students are on break, and this is also part of the Youth Employment Scheme. That is an opportunity to give back to the community. We caught up with the group in town today and got talking to see why they've taken this project on board.
A project given to us by the Premier. He wanted us to decorate this commercial centre for the festive season, for Christmas. So we're given 2 weeks. So we're doing our best to adorn as much as we can the commercial centre, just make it very welcoming for the tourists as well as, most importantly, the locals for this festive season. This is actually a mural that I'm doing on the pavement. It's we decided to do something different, something that really contrasts our weather here. You know, Christmas time usually very hot, so we decided to put down some ice pavement thingy. So it's a bit of a surprise once it's done. So if you guys come along, and then we'll show the public where exactly the perspective or the points where they stand, and then you'll see the effect. Okay, the rest of the team are at the moment they're just putting up leaves and on the poles. They're decorating, putting them leaves on the poles, and they're also putting up ribbons. Later on in the day, you'll be bringing up the candy canes and everything, and hopefully we can get a Christmas tree. They're also going to put up the lights very soon. So yeah, we're quite busy. Most of the students that are participating in this are from the ones who participated in the Governor General's meeting. So the Premier called us up, and he wanted to see if he asked if we could do this for Christmas as a project for the youth. So we're keen. We decided to, if it's for a good cause. So yeah, if there's any opportunity, this is for the youth. If there's any opportunity like this again, just feel enthusiastic to come in and participate. It's really fun, and it's a good way to keep yourself occupied as well, and instead of getting into the alcohol life and stuff like that. It's good. And for the people of Niue, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and all the best for this prosperous and coming 2014.
Well, we all sat around the table and brought out some ideas, put it on paper, and then we showed it to the Premier, and then that's when we started. Quite a lot, because we don't really have much time, so everyone's been coming at like 6 o'clock in the morning, finishing around 6 in the afternoon. But this is my first day, so. Well, there's about 10 of us, but I think we've got a few more who added on, and we're hoping to finish all of this by Sunday. It's my last year in Niue, and I thought it would be nice to decorate the commercial center for Christmas, give it that Christmas feeling. I think it's pretty good. I mean, it's not fully finished yet, but when it's done, I'm pretty sure it'll look awesome. I think we should keep doing projects like this. I mean, we've already got so many comments from the locals saying that it's really good and that it makes them happy, especially the old folks. They think it's a great idea.
And by the looks of things, these students are definitely getting into the spirit of things. And that is our news bulletin for this evening. This is also our final news bulletin for this year 2013. From the news team and the Broadcasting Corporation of Niue, we would like to thank you for your support throughout this year and look forward to 2014. May you all have a Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year.